recording, sharing this. All right, guys, we are here live and we're going to be talking about, in just a moment, tips for ethical sourcing. And I'm very excited to have Susan Wheeler here of Susan Wheeler Designs to be talking a little bit more about ethical metalsmiths, how she's approaching the ethical movement in jewelry and Fairmined gold and gemstones. And we're going to be taking some questions too a little bit later. I don't know if I told you that, Susan, but we're taking questions.
That's okay. I love questions.
If we get them.
I try and find answers.
So I'm really excited to be here today with Susan Wheeler to talk a little bit more about ethical sourcing, because we get these types of questions a lot in our groups. People are asking where can they find, responsible fair trade, Fairmined gold, where can they find fair trade gemstones? How can they, really be sort of in alignment with their values and all that stuff when it comes to making jewelry, because we know that, mining does take its toll on the environment, and we all want to do our best to put our best work out into the world and do things, that are responsible in life and business. So I'm really excited to have Susan here. And I just wanted to remind you, we're going to dive in just a moment, that if this ethical metalsmith and ethical jewelry conversation is something that you're interested in, we'd love for you to share this with your other jewelry designer and maker friends, your other jeweler friends, because it is a really important conversation to participate in. So you can just hit that little share button below the video in order to do that. You can share it in a message. You can share it on your page. You can share it anywhere you like. And we are live on Facebook, it looks like. I just want to double check. Hey, Jess, can you give me a heads up and just let me know for sure that we're live? So Susan, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun to be on today.
Awesome. So I'm just going to do like a little formal bio, because we like to do that over here at Flourish and Thrive. So I'm going to actually read it. But Susan Wheeler is a jewelry designer who sculpts her models from clay and sun dries the models to achieve a truly organic texture that's only been modified by nature, not tools or hands. Oh, that's so cool. Susan Wheeler's award-winning jewelry is cast in 18 karat, Fairmined gold, and created by hand in Chicago. And Susan is devoted to furthering the movement of responsible jewelry. She's a board member of Ethical Metalsmiths, and she is on the steering committee to lead on initiatives for the Jewelry Industry Summit, and is recently added to the board of the Chicago chapter of the WJA, or the Women's Jewelry Association, something that I'm involved in here in New York City, which is very, very exciting. So thanks for being here. Well, tell us a little bit about your jewelry first, because we all want to hear about that. So you make beautiful things. So why don't we talk a little bit about that first?
Thank you. Yeah, when I first wanted to be a designer, I wanted to get something that was totally different. I knew like I had to have my own look. And by chance, kind of in a Zen way, I was experimenting with metal clay, which I don't always use now. I use all sorts of clay. And I had this insanely cool texture, which wasn't what it was supposed to be. And I loved it. And I really try and get something that is the gold the way it would look when it's coming out of the ground. And when I put around gems and do bezels like that, I work on getting it to look like the gem is coming up out of the gold, the way that we would really see it in nature.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. You guys have to check out her website too. It's Susan Wheeler Designs, right?
Yes, Susan Wheeler Design Singular.com.
Yeah, design.com. Check it out, because she has beautiful things. I was like, we met a couple years ago at a WJA conference in New York. And before this interview, I was stalking her website. I'm like, oh my God, I love your stuff. It's amazing. I'm a little bit of a cyber stalker, I will be honest. But that's cool. So you've been really committed to responsible sourcing and Fairmined gold. So why don't you talk a little bit more about that and your passion behind that and why you're so involved in this movement?
Well, I started, the Fairmined movement and the whole responsible movement has been growing and growing. And I used to work in recycled gold, which is fantastic as well. Yeah. But somebody came by my booth at a trade show in Vegas and started talking about Fairmined gold, which is like fair trade. Mm-hmm. And, you kind of are, why would I switch over? It does cost a little bit more, but I'll tell you, it is making a huge difference in communities because gold is artisanally mined. And in some of these mines, it's villages, it's communities, and or some do, use mercury to get the gold out of the rocks.
Yeah.
So you can imagine poisoning the water system. There are terrible, deaths, birth defects, all sorts of things. So in order to get the fair trade certificate to be fair mined, they go in and they help the miners change, and they help teach them how to do it without mercury, and they help them get safe environments for working, and it cleans up their water system, and then they get the money going back to them. So it's not like they're just working for a company. Yeah. They own it, and they spend the money however they want. We have at the upcoming conference a fantastic slideshow by Hoover and Strong, and they show these two mines that used to get in gunfights.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
And then now they're like, we're building soccer fields. Now they compete in soccer games against each other. They've built schools. It's their money. They do whatever they want with it. And it's changing lives. It's changing whole communities. I love it.
So amazing. About 10 or 15 years ago, I met a guy who was selling rough cut diamonds. This was a while back. I think like right when I first moved to New York. And he was showing us like how these mines in Sierra Leone, one of the most dangerous places for mining, had really been turning a corner. And they, instead of like, once the mines were sort of like empty, they were really focused on giving back to the community. So what they would do is, instead of just like abandoning and destroying the mines, the NGOs there would turn them into agricultural spaces that would actually feed the communities for many, many years ongoing, which is really amazing. So I'd love to hear stories about them like building soccer fields instead of shooting guns at each other, because a lot of it's really about education, right?
It is, and it's about helping the people in our supply chain and helping to bring them, to environmental practices that are safe for them, and helping them, not cutting them off from the supply chain. Like Sierra Leone is a great example for so many things, because it used to be the movie Blood Diamonds was about. But now they need us to buy their diamonds because they are working on fair trade diamonds there. I mean, how amazing is that?
Yeah.
People in our industry need to know the amazing things that are happening, and they need to let their customers know.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So, this conversation, like, it's so important, and so much change has been happening over the past few years, and there's a lot of conferences, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later, with things that are sort of on the forefront of this movement. But one of the questions we get asked all the time are like, how do you find these resources? So what are some of the ways that designers can find more ethical sources for jewelry supplies and gemstones, especially when they're starting out and they can't really connect directly with the mines or buy in bulk with big suppliers, etc.? Sorry,
well, you started any.
There's always a siren. Always a siren in the middle of recording something.
You don't need to have make a ton of things, or you don't need to be a huge, buyer to buy from these places. Hoover and Strong does do the fair mined gold and silver, so you don't have to be, casting in gold, and they can cast for you if you want. Even if you're doing something that's cast, the person you cast with might be using 100% recycled gold. You need to ask them. So that's one of the best things to do.
Let's back up 1 second, because Hoover and Strong, you sort of like glossed over that, but not everyone knows who Hoover and Strong is.
Right, sorry.
Like us, we've been in the industry for a long time, so of course we know. But
so they are to the trade, and it's they are a supplier of metals. They actually have a diamond site where they are doing secondhand diamonds and auction. It gets to the trade, but I think if you have a resale license, you can work with them. And if you are casting, or you just need one or two things cast, then you can send it there to do. So they're a wonderful resource. Even Rio Grande, that's pretty easy for people to have access to that catalog. They have a whole American gemstone section. Of course, all American gemstones are basically fair trade. That our mining practices are okay. And so they're trying to get on board with that as well. And if you already have a supplier, the main thing to do is just ask questions. the more that you can ask questions. Where does this gemstone come from? Do you know the miner? Do you know this? Whether it's beads or gems, it doesn't, whatever it is, just ask your suppliers, because the more we ask and the more answers we get, the more they're going to, work on being transparent in the supply chain.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for dialing it back a little bit, because I know that, that a lot of people are, they're just curious, like, how do you do it? They get intimidated, by these big companies, et cetera. I mean, most of our designers know Rio's, and the majority know who Hoover and Strong is, but I just want to make sure that we nailed that out. And then the American Gemstones, awesome for Rio. Are there any other sources or resources that you would recommend?
Columbia Gem House is, they carry fair trade sapphires. They carry Oregon sapphires. And they also, which I love, they carry Malawi fair trade sapphires, which are incredible because, it's the same thing. You've got mines down there and the money's going directly back in. So they have certified fair trade. They're the ones that do it the best. But, you can also get turquoise. Do I have a turquoise? Arizona, Australia. The things that, and a lot of it also comes down to, like I said, asking questions. Yeah. If anyone's lucky enough or just can go to Tucson, oh my gosh, it's like gem person heaven there. And it's great because you can go to the Brazilian tents and there's like a whole area and you can go and talk to somebody and he could be bringing things up from Brazil from his own mind. He could be cutting it himself. So it's asking questions, it's conversations, whether you're able to go to Tucson or whether you have somebody that you're already working with. We are in the industry working on having more resources for people connecting. Ethical Smiths on their new website will be launching a page where you can go on and you can see all of their recommended people like Hoover and Strong, Columbia Gem House, the people that we're talking about. We're going to have people and their sources there for anybody to see. And then in the UK, right now, there's an initiative where they are working on an interactive website where you can go on and you can connect with their people, whether they're gem dealers or metals or other designers, where everybody can connect. So it's something everybody in the industry is excited for, and we're all working on it.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Yeah, I think that's like a huge missed opportunity, is that one central resource where people can just go look, like these are recommended resources. These are, we have our own vendor list of like tons of people, but there's no place that, has the, these are the only one, these are all recommended resources in the fair mind and fair trade industry. So, or direction, whatever I'm trying to say, you get it. But that's awesome. I'm glad they're doing that. So my next question was going to be, are there any industry lists? And you already answered that question because Ethical Metalsmith is going to be working on that. So that's awesome. So, my other question for you is this, this conversation's been happening a lot. I've been part of it, whether it's like in the thick of it or on the periphery or with my jewelry businesses, actually buying fair mined gold and doing my best to be a responsible sourcer, I guess is the best way to put it. Why is it important to take action now? Because I know that people are like, why now? What's the impetus behind like it being important and urgent to do right away?
Well, I think the thing, once you start hearing about it and learning about it, you realize that we're so unique as jewelry designers, as jewelry people, because we touch, maybe in one piece of jewelry, we can go and connect with people in 5 different countries. I have a piece that had the fair trade sapphires in Malawi, fair trade gold in Colombia, a stone that was from a new mine in Vietnam, and then another piece of tourmaline from Brazil. That's so many countries, and we can go and and we can go and we can do all of this for good. We can do good things just by making a piece of beautiful jewelry. How insane is that?
It's so it's so great. We're making an impact in the world. We're changing people's lives. We're building economies. We're supporting global economy here, which is pretty awesome. It's amazing. we were talking in the pre-interview about, and you kind of probably touched on this before, about how to become like a certified Fairmined Gold. I don't want to say dealer because you're not dealing gold, but you're like a jeweler, Fairmined Gold jeweler. Because I know a couple of designers in our communities who are certified Fairmined Gold jewelers.
Yes. So the certification process, it's not about screening you so much. It's a process where they want to keep track of the gold. And so once you're certified, there's a system where you go through and you say, oh, I bought this silver or this gold. And you buy from Hoover and Strong. They are the wholesalers in the U.S. But you do have to go through separately and get certified with them. And it's really just so they can keep track of it. It's not, they're not screening who you are or are you ethical enough or anything like that. It's not, that's not what it's about. No one.
I don't know if I can certify you because you're not ethical enough.
We're all doing the best we can, you know?
That is so hilarious. Are you ethical enough? Okay, so you have a conference going on, and I wanted to bring you on this show today because, you know, I think what you're doing with the Chicago Responsible Jewelry Conference is really important. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. I'd love to hear how you got involved, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about like what people can expect if they're interested in going.
Well, I got involved because I was at the Portland Jewelry Symposium last year, and it was the final night, and it was the cocktail party, and it was the last 15 minutes of the cocktail party, and I said, oh, hey, we should do this. We should do something in Chicago around responsible sourcing. And so, you know, it was hatched there at the cocktail party. and then
cocktail parties are the best place to like plan events, I'm telling you.
I know. So, you know, I've been involved in different kind of areas of this for a while, and I really wanted to bring it to Chicago and have everybody come together around it. Not just the people that are in the manufacturing downtown or the stores, everybody, anyone designing, anyone with an interest, anyone who wants to learn. We really want to have a community come together around this. And it's going to be a super fun event. Our keynote speaker is Mark Hanna with Richline, which is, you know, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, big, huge company. They own tons of jewelry companies. So he's partnering with Alexandra Hart, who is this awesome couture jewelry designer, fine jewelry designer, very artistic. And she's president of the board of ethical metals. So you've got these two coming together, and it kind of sets the tone for the conference, which is, you know,
love it.
How are the larger companies, these huge companies at, you know, billions, how are they partnering with you know, an art designer in jewelry? And how does this work for them to be working together and bringing sustainability and responsibility to everyone in the industry?
Wow. Yeah.
So I love that kind of like putting them together and it just kind of being cool and setting the tone. We will have a designer panel. Jennifer Dawes is going to be on that. Susan Crowe. Melissa Quick of Steve Quick Jewelers is going to moderate. They're having a cocktail party Friday night, which is going to be so fun.
Awesome. Wait, I was talking and said I love Jennifer Dawes, and you mentioned another jewelry designer, and I want to make sure that we get them.
Susan Crowe and Deborah Navarro.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Amazing. So there's a cocktail party Friday night. Sorry, I didn't mean
Friday night. Oh, should we go to cocktails? And then there's going to be so much networking. And everyone who's speaking is going to have a table. So you can go and meet. Columbia Gem House will be there. Hoover & Strong will be there. You can go and meet these people. We'll probably going to have an antique diamond dealer that you can meet.
Awesome.
So there's going to be, everyone's going to be very accessible. And then Saturday night, we're showing Sharing the Rough, which is a feature-length movie. People in the industry love it. Collectors love it. Anyone who loves jewelry loves it.
It's a great movie.
It's so cool. So they show down in Kenya and Tanzania, going into the mines and getting this garnet, this beautiful garnet. And then they show it coming over and getting cut. And then all the way to sale, and the custom cutting and the designer setting it. It's just this gorgeous mind to market movie. And then we'll have cocktails after that, of course. So
more cocktails. Everything revolves around cocktails. No, I'm just kidding.
We're flying a miner over, not a miner, I'm sorry. He's a gemologist, and he's very well known, and he's coming over from Kenya. So
wow.
Worldwide is going to be flying him over from Kenya.
Wow, that is Awesome. Awesome. When, so is this the same one who was in Sharing the Rough, or the same miners Sharing the Rough, or someone different?
Wumbabi. I'm sorry, I'm not great with the name pronunciation, but no, this is a different person than Sharing Rough. But Monica Stevenson of iDazzle, she will be there, and she's going to be talking about the movie afterwards, and she was in Sharing the Rough. And she's going to be talking about colored gemstone sourcing as well. And she's just gorgeous, lovely, fantastic to hear or meet Monica at any time.
She's amazing. Awesome blogger, jewelry blogger too, amongst many other things. So awesome. So you guys have been so generous to offer the Flourish and Thrive community 10% off of the conference. I'm going to be there. I made a game time decision on Friday to actually go and participate. Yay. I was actually, I don't know if I told you this, but I was actually supposed to be in Kenya, but our trip was diverted to next summer because of the elections that are going on right now with the election year. So anyway, long story short, I'm like so excited for this opportunity. Number one, I get to go to Chicago. Number two, I get to hang out with some really cool people. So come join me. We can hang out. We can play a little bit in Chicago, learn more about responsible sourcing. So you can check it out. The discount code, you want to go head on over to Shy Responsible Jewelry Conference. Jessica's going to pin it at the top of this comment thread, but it's CHI and then the word responsiblejewelryconference.com. And you can use the discount code if you're interested in coming for 10% off, FT Love in all caps. Make sure you grab that. Hey, Jess, can you make sure that you put that code in that pinned comment? That would be awesome. And join us. It's going to be fun. And we want to take some questions for Susan if you have any questions. So please post them below. We had a few come in, so let me dig them up. Hold on a second. Monica is asking, is there a logo for Fairmined Gold?
Yeah, there is.
There is. Okay, and you have it on your website. So is that something that that they just give you once you're certified?
Once you're certified, you have access to their whole marketing file. And you will be able to use the logo, the Fairmined logo, anywhere on your website, anywhere on your brochures. And they also have pictures of miners that are fantastic to use and have pictures of mine. So you're allowed to use any of that once you're certified, and it's great.
Awesome. You can use it anywhere. We talked a little bit about, Lena says, hi, I'm finally here. I'm going to look on Instagram, see if we have any questions over here. Oops, I just flipped it. You guys are seeing my bedroom now. Wrong thing. At first, they couldn't hear us because I had my headset in. That's not really going to help. All right, code is there. We aren't getting any other questions right now. Jess, are there any other questions coming in? It's hard to read when it's going live. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is a great question. I'm not sure who asked this, but there's a question coming in. How do you tell your customers about this and actually educate them about the difference of Fairmined Gold and fair trade gemstones?
When I'm selling, if I'm at a trunk show, it's the best time. I do list it all the time on my website. I list if it's fair trade and fair mine, and I started putting a section on my website that's 100% fair trade. But just in selling, I mean, selling is always a conversation, right?
Yeah, right.
And, you know, just in talking about the gems in the fair trade, if you have a passion for it, and you will, the more you learn, the more passionate you're going to get. And when you talk about that, the passion's going to come through, and it's going to make them passionate about it as well. It's going to make them be so happy with what they bought that it's doing something, you know, no matter who it is. It's just such a good story. So I think it does help to sell it. But another thing is, not only does it help to sell your piece, the more you tell people, the more they're going to ask for it as consumers.
Yes.
If you're saying this is fair trade gold, you know, they may say, I don't care or whatever. I doubt they're going to say, I don't care. They're going to say, tell me more. And when you do, they're going to get excited. And then the next time they buy a piece of jewelry, they might say, do you offer that in fair trade? Or do you have any, you know, fair trade designers here? So the more that we can tell people about it, the more they're going to want it.
I love that. So it made me think of something, you know, when you're when you're doing this, I was having a conversation with a customer last year about a pod precious sapphire. It was like something so different, but the conversation, it's like I'm sitting here trying to educate my customer and being the intermediary between my gem dealer and the customer, because there's so much, I don't want to say wrong information on the internet, but like misguided information on the internet. And so this is why it's important to continue these conversations. This is also like, if you want to get involved in this movement, it's a great opportunity for you to write content on your blog, to share with your customers so they know what you're all about. And so that they also, so that you can educate them without having to have the conversation over and over again. Because a lot of times when people, our focus at Flourish and Thrive for the last couple of months has really been about building your online presence, converting online traffic into sales, etc. And for people of different price points, it's different, because like for people like us selling fine jewelry, you have to actually get on the phone with people. You're not going to have as much e-commerce, but that opportunity to actually like allow someone to decide if this is right for them by writing content and sharing more as much as you can on your website, on your social media, on your YouTube channel, and using that in your marketing strategy is really important to help educate them so that they can decide if you're the right fit. Because the more you can make that decision crystal clear, the more sales you're going to have in the long run, because people know that you're right for them. So thanks for bringing that up. Lena says, where can you find fair trade gems and stones outside the USA?
I don't go outside of the USA to buy my gems because I've got kids and husbands and pets and all that stuff. But I wish I did. And I get mine from US dealers, but they are outside of, they're buying their gems, they're getting the fair trade ones from Malawi. The problem is the certification process, because there's a lot of artisanal mines out there. I mean, colored gemstones are really interesting because you get them from all over the world.
Yeah.
And, there's not any solid certification process in a lot of mines where it's fair trade. But, there are great gemstone dealers that have been friends with the miners and the family forever, and they know that this is a good source and they can vouch for it. So I'm a member of American Gem Trade Association. You don't need to be a member there, but you do need to form relationships with your gem dealers, with your bead people. It's all about relationships. Do they have a good relationship with the miners that they know? Do you have a good relationship with them? Can you ask them questions? Can you talk to them? Everything is a conversation all along the supply chain. So I think that's kind of the key, because I can't fly everywhere and buy my gems, from a million different countries, but I can work with good gem dealers and I can ask them questions. And if I like what they're saying, then, it's a good way to do it. Trust your gem dealer, try and talk to them.
I think that's an important key to the conversation. Like if you're in Europe or if you're in another country, Australia, Canada, or somewhere else, there are the same types of dealers that are here in the USA there. It's just a matter of identifying and locating it. And, a lot about what we've done probably in both of our businesses, Susan, is like, you get to know people over time. You get referrals, you meet customers, you build the relationships with your vendors, right? And that's really what sets the tone for how they end up approaching their sourcing and how they end up working with their customers. So just do your, as Robin likes to say, do your research and, continue to just like dig deep and ask questions in your local market from your suppliers. Ask where they're buying things. Are they buying from fair trade mines? Or do they have good relationships with the miners, etc.?
Absolutely.
Donna's asking, are there any fair trade dealers in New York City for gemstones? Do you know that off the top of your head? Where's Columbia Gems?
Pacific Northwest, I want to say. I talk to them all the time.
Okay.
I forget where they're from, but no, you know who I do love I love a lot of people in New York, but Perpetuum diamonds
are great. Yeah.
So they deal in antique diamonds, which I love. Like I'm really, and he'll sell out of them, but I'm really into these single cut antique diamonds that I'll use in my pave now in my lines, and it's different than the full cut. But anyways, I've been talking to a lot. In fact, at the conference, I'm trying to, get some of these people in that work in or have piles of gems left over. Like appraisers will have piles of gemstones. And I'm saying, we need to be selling these back to designers. Yeah, exactly. We would take your old aquamarines, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so it's, this is something, I think it's Perpetuum J does do it in New York. They actually have a San Francisco office as well. So maybe that's something I can send along to your group, that information. But, this is a great source of gemstones as well, that really it's just, I mean, they're the first ones doing it, certifying secondhand gems, but they're all over the place. Why not reuse the gems that we already have out there?
Yeah, recycled gemstones. Good idea. April asked, how do you get certified? She's sorry if you already discussed this. She came in a little bit late.
Oh, for Fair Trade, yeah. Fair Mind Gold. So go directly to the Fair Mind, and it's Fair, FAIRMINED, the Fair Mind website, and then there they'll have the application for certification. FAIRMINED, or yeah, I can't spell. FAIRMINED. .com, and then you can apply for a certification there. Okay, awesome. Does repurposed jewelry or secondhand stones count as fair trade or eco-conscious? I think eco-conscious. Yeah. Not fair trade, but they're there, and why not use them? Yeah. So it's there's all different ways that we can source responsibly. So I was saying it is hard to get certified fair trade. Columbia Gem House is the only one really doing it well in the business right now. It's nice. I mean, why not use the gemstones that we already have? It's all a balance. It's all working with what you want to use, and how can you make that better, sustainable, responsible.
Yeah, and any repurposing of anything, I feel like I hate to use the word upcycled or recycled, but still, like that's better than not knowing where the stone's coming from. I deal a lot I work a lot with customers' stones doing heirloom redesign, and to me, like that's like one of the most satisfying projects. I could at the end of the day oftentimes care less about making money off a gemstone. I like working with something that means something to my actual consumer at the back end, and knowing that they're actually using a stone from a piece of jewelry that they never wear anymore and making something else with it. So to me, I think it's pretty cool. And very
I agree.
We're getting a question from Instagram. This conversation, I don't know how to say her name, Jonathan, is really about responsible sourcing. So we're not going to talk about how to price your jewelry, but we have a lot of resources on our website, including our pricing cheat sheet, which you can head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/pricing cheat sheet if you want to grab that. Yeah, I think that's the last question. Jess, do we have any other questions coming in? And Jess, I think you got the question for the Fairmind website. Someone else was asking about that. I'm going to check one more time. And someone is asking, Columbia Gems, is it in Vancouver, Washington, or near Portland, Oregon?
Vancouver, Washington.
Vancouver, Washington. Okay, yeah. Awesome. Thanks for clearing that up. Susan, thank you so much for being here today. You guys, join me at the Chicago Responsible Jewelry Conference. Get 10% off with FTA Love. You can get 10% off your ticket by entering that discount code at checkout. And what are the dates again? It's October
13th and 14th.
October 13th and 14th. It's coming up right around the corner. I'm going to be there. Come there and meet me. We'll be doing cocktails on Friday night.
Yeah.
Anyone's doing, and it's just going to be a great time, you guys. This is an awesome opportunity for you to meet vendors. It's an awesome opportunity for you to network with other designers and people in the industry who can really help you stay connected with your brand and your business. And it's a great opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about these Fairmind practices. So check it out over at shyresponsibljewelryconference.com. And we have a link on the Facebook Live, and everywhere else we're posting it. We'll also have a link in the description. So make sure that you head on over there and you come join me in just a couple weeks. And join Susan too. So she's
We're going to have a great time. It's going to be just so exciting. It's very dynamic.
It's going to be awesome. Susan, thanks again for being here today.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.